All right. So mean and median. So mean and median is a measure of center, where standard deviation and quartile is a measuring of variability. Yeah. Yeah, me zoom. All right, so the definition of a standard deviation is the measure of the spread of the observation. Standard deviation is denoted in S, standard deviation. By the way, this is, oops, that's so tiny. By the way, this is a sample standard deviation, okay? Population standard deviation denote differently, which we're gonna talk later. Yeah, make it a little, right there, standard deviation is denoted in S, is a measure of the spread of the date of the observation from the mean. The variance is just the square of S, square of S. If the set of observation is an average of the square of the deviation of the observation from the mean. Basically, this sentence right here, maybe I'll highlight in green and blue. This sentence right here is the formula. Right? Is the difference between the observation and the mean, and then you square it. Okay. So here is a formula for variance. Remember it, you might need it on the exam. More compactly, you can use this, you can memorize as this 1 over n minus 1. This side right here, that's the summation. So basically, instead of adding a long formula, they use this notation. Okay, that's all. If you don't know, it's fine. Yeah, but it's helpful to know if you take more math classes. You should know some math notation. Oops, sorry. All right, so remember the ways of French fry data. We're gonna calculate the standard deviation of the French fry data. Okay, so let me write out just some first few terms of the formula. So standard deviation is x1 minus x bar squared plus x2 minus x bar squared plus all the way to xn minus x bar squared, right? x1, x2, xn, that's just observation. So in the French fry data, I forgot what is it like. Do I have it here? I think I do. Right? French fry data. That's income. Right here. So the French fry data, the first one, the one that I have not right here. The first observation is 78. The second one is 72. So that's x2. X3 will be 69 all the way to xn, which is x16, which is 69, right? So it's x1, x2, x3. And then the mean is 73.5. So that's what I want to know. Sample size 16. If you count, right? You count those data points, that's 16. All right, so those are information that I need. I'm going to calculate it here. So 78 minus 73.5 square plus, was it 72? Minus 73.5 square plus, I'm not going to do by hand, all the way to 69 minus 73.5 square divided by n minus 1. N is 16, so 16 minus 1. Of course, we're going to use formula because it's too long. On the exam, if I want you to calculate the standard deviation by hand, I probably going to give you like 4 or 5 data points. Okay, it's small, very small. All right, so for the Google Sheet, if you open your French fry data Google Sheet, the command is equal stdev, and then just highlight the range. And for R, it's just SD and then the name of the data. Okay, so let me so I'll open that data, that French data on your computer. We do it together. I'm going to do the same. Google. Try. All right, there you go. Close this one. Okay, let me share my laptop screen. You know, let me turn on. Yeah, I'll share my lap. I'll share everything. Continue. There you go. Okay, so here is, oops, delete that. From yesterday. So delete that. So for standard deviation is just equal STDEV, right there, standard deviation, and then you highlight the range. You highlight the range over the gray column there, and enter. Okay, so it's 6.660. Okay. For variance, the command is var, VA equal var for variance. And then same thing, highlight that range. Right there. Okay, so if I write it down, I'll just write stuff down here just a little bit. So S square is S square, which is variance, which is 36.8. So that's implied if I take a square root, because I want S, right? If I take the square root of 36.8, I get 6.067. Do you have any question how to do things in Google now before I switch to R? Good. All right. Okay, let me turn on R. This thing away. Take a while. I have too many. I write too many things in here. It's getting heavier and heavier over time. It used to be fast. Come on. So yeah, so R, so here's a French fry data when we have like in chapter 2, I'm gonna run it. So DF is data frame, run it, and then SD, SD of data frame. There you go, same thing, right? Same thing. Okay, I don't know if you on the reason I'm showing you these things is in the homework it's large data set, right? You want to use software, you don't want to do by hands. All right. Okay, so I just wrote things down there so I can post it on Moodle. Here, this slide is show you how to give the interpretation of a standard deviation. There will be one like this on the exam, I guarantee it, the interpretation of a standard deviation. Okay, and there's certain things I'm looking for. First of all, there's a form that you need to follow. It doesn't have to be word by words, but this is correct, so might as well just follow it, right? You can use different way of saying it, but it has to be correct. This is one of the way. There's 3 different ways, but this is one of the way. So when I ask you to give the interpretation of a standard deviation, there's certain things I'm looking for. So the one I highlight in red, that is the must-have on every single interpretation statement. Okay, so you start out with on average, and then the one I'm highlighting here in blue is context, right? Depending on what kind of problem I'm asking you to give the interpretation for, right? So that's a context. Are roughly So blank here is the value of a standard deviation S, right? For us is because it's French fry data will be 6.067, something like that, right? Away from their mean, what the mean way of what the mean of the French fry data? 73.5, right? So so you always start out with on average, context, the way whatever you're looking for, right? Roughly what? How many standard deviation away from the mean? Remember the definition of the standard deviation is the measure of the spread of the observation from the mean, right? So so yeah, so remember this one. Just follow this one. Is how you interpret the standard deviation. Okay. Okay, so here let's fill out some stuff about standard deviation. S equals 0 means, can anyone tell me what S equals 0 means? I'll give you two extra points on the exam. You can tell me what S equals 0 means. If the standard deviation equals 0, that means what? If a standard deviation equals 0, that means anyone? No? All right.
There's no
Say it again.
there's no variance.
Very good. Was it Sean? I can't. Yeah, thank you, Sean. Yeah, I can't. I see you now. I couldn't see you before. Yeah, thank you very much. Is you got 2 points on the exam. So yeah, the S equals 0 is mean it's no variation across the data, right? It's the same everywhere. There's no um there's no up or down, like you know how you have the bell curve shape. So that means no variation or variability across data set. Do you guys remember the uniform distribution, which we're going to talk about shortly? Uniform distribution is the box distribution, right? Distribution. We have no variation. It's the same everywhere. That's why it's a box. Like the mean standard deviation is the measure of the normal curve, is a measure of the normal curve. So when you sketch a normal curve, the two things that you need to know is what is the mean and what is the standard deviation. That's very important. We use the mean and the standard deviation for what is the mean measure for? What does the mean measure for? I've been saying this for like many times. Mean and median measure. Mean and median measure.
Is it the average value in a data set?
Median, not the average.
The mean.
The mean is the average, but the mean and the mean is measure. If I give you the mean or the average of values of some data set, what does it tell you? It's the center of the data set, right? So mean and median measure the center, and then standard deviation measure the variability. Right? Mean measure center, and standard deviation measure I'll just say spread, less words, the spread of the data set, of a data set. The 5-number summary is better for the like an overall information of a data set, for an overall information maybe I have a better, how did I say it? I think I have a better way of saying this. Overall information. Means a quick review for a quick review of the data values and information about center and spread. It kind of everything. If I give you a 5-number summary, it's kind of like, oh, you know what the mean, the median, the spread, right? Okay. All right. Let's do this problem by hand. It's a short problem, so we can do by hand. We can do by hand. Radon is a naturally occurring gas. It's second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States. It comes from the natural breakdown of uranium in the soil and enter building through cracks and other holes in the foundation. Radon is found throughout the United States, but level vary considerably from state to state. Several methods can reduce the level of radon in a home, and the Environmental Protection Agency recommends using one of them if the measured level in a home is above 4 picocuries per liter. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Fall reading from Franklin County, Ohio, where the county average is 8.2 ppl. I'm just gonna call it ppl. Was 3.8, 1.9, 12.1, and 14.4. So we're gonna calculate the mean and the standard deviation by hand. Right? So the mean is just what the average of all of these 4 values, right? So you add them up. Sample mean is X bar. So mean is just average of all that. So it'll be 3.8 plus 1.9, excuse me, 12.1 plus 14.4 divided by 4. Get my calculator. 3.8. Do it with me, okay? So we can check together. Sometimes I make mistake. 1.9 plus 12.1 plus 14.4 divided by 2. I got 16.1. Do you guys have the same thing? Yeah. ppl. I cannot see you, so say something. I wish I can see you, but I'm recording, so you maybe not comfortable with your face in the recording. Find the standard deviation step by step. So it's a short problem, so I might ask you to do the standard deviation by hand, right? So before I find the standard deviation, I have to find the variance first. Remember, we have the formula for S squared equal. Can someone tell me what should I do? Oh, I'm sorry, 32.2 divided by 4 is not, it is not 16.1, it's 8.05. No wonder it's so big. 8.05. 8.05. Okay. All right. Does anyone remember the formula for variance?
It's the value minus the mean squared.
Good, very good. So just each of the values subtract the mean square. So 3.8 minus 8.05 square. By the way, if you notice for the variance value, it's never negative, right? You take 3.8 minus 8.05, it's negative, but it's being squared. everything being square and then add up. So it's always positive. Okay. 1.9 minus 8.05 square plus 12.1 minus 8.05 square. And then last is 14.4 minus 8.05 square. And then divided by what? Divided by 4 by 3.
3.
3. Thank you. 4 minus 1. Right. Plug in your calculator. Just do it with me. Sometimes I make mistake. 3.8 minus 8.05 square. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take 8.05. I'm gonna store it in X. So if you do 8.05, press 8.05 in your calculator. Store the second. If you look from the bottom up on the left side, STO store to X, and then enter is store X as 8.05. So 3.8 minus X now. Square plus 1.9 minus X square plus 2.1 minus X square plus 14.4 minus X square divided by 3. All right, the variant I have, the variant is roughly 37.566, something like that. And then if I take the square root, I want S, right? I want standard deviation. So square root of 37.566, etc. So square root, roughly I have 6.13 ppl. Don't forget the unit. Did you guys have the same thing? Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna show you how to check your phi number summary and standard deviation and variance value on your calculator. So the bunch of the next 3 slides, 3 or 4 something, the next 3 slides is going to show you step by step how to enter the data set into the calculator and compute the phi number summary and standard deviation. Okay. Now for the last picture, you won't be able to see this, you know, the mins and max and median Q1, Q3. You have to press the arrow down, then you see the phi number summary. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Turn on your slides and do it in your own pace. Okay, I'm not gonna move my slide, so you guys turn on your own slide and do it in your own pace. If you successfully enter in the data and get the value, just put done in the chat so I know that you finished, so we can move on to the next chapter. Okay. You finish, write done in the chat box so I know. Right, very good. Okay. All right, very good. All right, very good. That's it. So you guys see file number summary and then standard deviation and all that, right? That's how you're gonna be able to check on your exam, right? You'll be asked to do by hand, but at least you can check with your calculator you do right or wrong. Let me start.